Now that we've finished summarizing the first part of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, in which we covered the introduction to the book and the first 8 chapters, we'll start summarizing the remaining chapters. So make yourself a nice cup of coffee if you're listening during the day, or a second drink if you're listening at night. Let's enjoy. Chapter 8: Psychological Factors in Habit Building. Building habits is not just about routines, schedules, or willpower. It's deeply psychological. The mind has patterns, biases, and triggers that guide behavior, often without conscious thought. Understanding these psychological factors can make habit building much easier and more effective. One of the most important concepts is the power of identity. Who you believe you are shapes how you act. Your self-image influences your behavior far more than rules, rewards, or punishments. If you see yourself as the kind of person who exercises, you will naturally take steps to be active. If you see yourself as someone who procrastinates, the brain finds ways to delay. Habits are votes for your identity. Every action reinforces the story you tell yourself. Another factor is motivation and emotional drive. Humans are emotional creatures. We are more likely to act when feelings like desire, fear, or excitement are involved. Many habits form because the brain associates a behavior with a positive emotion or the removal of a negative emotion. Eating a snack when stressed, checking your phone for excitement, or working out for pride, these behaviors feel emotionally rewarding. Understanding what emotional need a habit serves helps you replace bad habits with better ones. Reward systems in the brain are also crucial. Habits are reinforced by pleasure or relief. The brain releases dopamine, a chemical linked to motivation and satisfaction, when a habit is completed. Even small rewards matter. This is why tracking progress, celebrating tiny wins, or creating immediate satisfaction can strengthen new habits. Without this reward, habits are harder to maintain because the brain doesn't see value in repeating them. Cues and triggers are psychological nudges that prompt behavior. These can be internal, like emotions or thoughts, or external, like time, location, or objects. The brain learns to act automatically when it recognizes a cue. That's why environment design is so effective. Changing triggers changes behavior. For example, seeing a water bottle on your desk cues hydration. Seeing a messy kitchen may trigger snacking. Recognizing and modifying cues is a key psychological strategy. Another factor is the role of repetition and automaticity. Habits become easier the more often you repeat them. The brain builds neural pathways that make behavior automatic, requiring less thought and effort. This explains why small, repeated actions are more effective than occasional big efforts. Psychological research shows that it can take weeks or months for a habit to feel natural. The key is consistent repetition. Stress and decision fatigue also affect habits. When the brain is tired or stressed, willpower declines and old habits re-emerge. That's why building systems that reduce friction is critical. A strong environment, clear routines, and pre-planned actions minimize the mental effort needed, helping you maintain habits even under pressure. Social psychology also plays a role. Humans naturally imitate the behaviors of those around them. If your friends exercise, read, or eat healthy, you are more likely to do the same. Peer pressure is not always negative. It can be a tool for habit building. Being part of a community or group that models the behaviors you want strengthens habits because conformity feels safe and rewarding. Cognitive biases influence habit formation as well. For example, the present bias makes us favor immediate rewards over long-term benefits. This is why unhealthy snacks or distractions are tempting. Their pleasure is instant, whereas benefits of exercise or saving money are delayed. Awareness of these biases helps you design habits that offer immediate satisfaction while still achieving long-term goals. Identity-based reinforcement is another powerful psychological factor. Every habit reinforces your self-concept. By choosing actions that align with the person you want to be, you strengthen your identity, which in turn makes habits easier to sustain. If you write every day, you are reinforcing the identity of a writer. Over time, the behavior becomes effortless because it's no longer about discipline, it's about being yourself. Self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to succeed, also matters. People who believe they can make changes are more likely to start and maintain habits. Building small, achievable habits helps create confidence. Each small success proves to your brain that you are capable, which fuels more action. Accountability and commitment devices are psychological tools that help maintain habits. Making commitments public, having an accountability partner, or creating consequences for failing encourages consistency. The mind is sensitive to social and self-imposed pressure. These strategies leverage psychological tendencies to keep you on track. Finally, mindset plays a central role. A growth mindset, believing that your abilities and behaviors can change with effort, supports habit formation. Fixed mindsets, such as thinking, "I'm just not a healthy person," hinder progress. Viewing habits as experiments and focusing on improvement rather than perfection reduces fear of failure and encourages persistence. In short, habit building is deeply psychological. The brain operates on identity, emotion, reward, cues, social influence, and repeated practice. Systems, environment, and mindset are tools to guide these psychological processes. By understanding them, you can design habits that feel natural, sustainable, and aligned with the person you want to become. Habits are not just what you do, they are who you believe you are, and how your mind chooses to act on that belief. Chapter 9: Patience and Commitment. Building lasting habits is not about quick wins or instant results. Change takes time. Patience and commitment are the invisible forces that allow small actions to grow into meaningful, life-changing results. Without them, even the best habits fail. Many people start with excitement. They feel motivated and full of energy. They want to change everything at once, exercise every day, eat perfectly, wake up early, read more, but motivation is temporary. After a few days or weeks, the excitement fades. Without patience, we give up. Without commitment, we stop before we see the results. Patience means understanding that meaningful change is a slow process. Habits are like planting a tree. You water it every day, even though you see no growth for weeks. But the roots are growing underground, preparing for the day when the trunk emerges and the tree blooms. Most people quit before the first signs appear, not realizing that the real work is happening out of sight. Commitment is the choice to stay consistent, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation can inspire you to start, but commitment keeps you going. Commitment is showing up, doing the small action, and trusting that results will come with time. It's choosing the long-term benefit over short-term comfort. One helpful way to build commitment is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Goals can feel distant or overwhelming. "I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to write a book." The process, however, is immediate. "I will exercise for 10 minutes today," or "I will write 1 paragraph tonight." By concentrating on daily actions rather than distant results, you strengthen patience. You learn to trust the process and enjoy the journey, instead of being frustrated by how far you still have to go. Another important idea is tracking progress. Keeping a visual record of your habits, a calendar, a journal, or a habit app, creates tangible proof of your commitment. Each checkmark, each completed action is a reminder, "I am keeping my promise to myself." This simple feedback loop reinforces both patience and consistency. Over time, seeing a streak grow becomes motivating in itself. Delayed gratification is also a key factor. Many habits fail because we want immediate rewards. Eating healthy, saving money, or practicing a skill may feel uncomfortable or unrewarding at first. Patience allows you to continue even when the benefit is invisible. Commitment is the bridge that carries you over the gap between effort and reward. It's also important to accept that progress is rarely linear. Some days will be better than others. You might slip, miss a workout, or forget a habit. That doesn't mean failure. True commitment means returning to your habit even after a setback. Patience is the belief that a single mistake doesn't erase weeks of progress. Consistency over time is far more powerful than perfection. A practical tip is to break long-term habits into small, manageable steps. If your goal feels overwhelming, it's easy to lose patience. Divide it into tiny, repeatable actions. Want to read more? Start with 5 minutes a day. Want to meditate? Begin with 2 minutes. These small steps are easy to commit to and create momentum. Over weeks and months, they accumulate into significant change. Commitment can be strengthened by public accountability, sharing your goals with someone you trust, or joining a group that practices the same habit creates social pressure and support. When you know someone else is watching or supporting your progress, you're more likely to stay consistent. Social reinforcement also makes the habit more meaningful, connecting it to your identity as someone reliable and disciplined. Another psychological factor is identity reinforcement. Each day you follow through on a habit, you strengthen the belief that I am the kind of person who, for example, I am a runner, I am a disciplined saver, or I am a consistent learner. Identity is both the fuel and the result of patience and commitment. The longer you practice a habit, the more it becomes part of who you are. Patience and commitment also teach resilience. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances will sometimes make habits harder. Instead of giving up when obstacles appear, patience allows you to adapt and continue. Commitment means creating systems and routines that support your habits, even when motivation falters or challenges arise. Together, they form a strong foundation that carries you through difficulties. It's helpful to celebrate small wins along the way. Acknowledge your progress, no matter how minor it seems. Rewarding yourself reinforces commitment and makes the process enjoyable. Small celebrations don't break your habit, they strengthen it by connecting effort with positive emotion. Finally, remember that patience and commitment are skills, not traits. You are not born patient or disciplined, you develop these qualities by practicing them. Each time you persist with a habit, even when it feels difficult, you build mental endurance. Each day you return to the habit after a missed day, you strengthen commitment. Over time, patience and commitment become automatic, like muscles that grow stronger with repeated exercise. Big results come from small actions repeated patiently. Commitment is the quiet force that turns daily effort into extraordinary transformation. In the end, habits succeed not because of bursts of inspiration, but because of steady, patient effort backed by consistent commitment. The path may be slow, invisible at first, but with trust in the process and dedication to your actions, lasting change becomes inevitable. Chapter 10: Comparison and Progress. One of the most common obstacles to building habits is comparison. We look at others, their success, their skills, their achievements, and judge ourselves. I'm not as good as them, we think. I'm too slow, too weak, too inexperienced. But comparison often does more harm than good. It distracts from your own progress and can kill motivation. The truth is, progress is personal. Your journey is yours alone. The key is not to measure yourself against others, but to measure yourself against who you were yesterday. Small improvements, repeated consistently, add up over time. A single step forward may seem insignificant, but over months and years, it compounds into extraordinary results. Progress is rarely linear. Some days you advance quickly, other days you stumble. Growth comes in waves. By focusing on your own journey, you avoid the frustration of unrealistic expectations. Each small victory, no matter how tiny, is a sign that your habits are working. Celebrate these moments. They are proof that change is happening, even when the results are not yet dramatic. Comparison can also create envy or self-doubt. Social media amplifies this problem. Everyone posts their successes, rarely their struggles. Seeing someone else's highlight reel can make you feel behind, even if you're making steady progress. The solution is to shift your focus inward. Track your habits, journal your improvements, and note how far you've come. Your growth is real, even if it's invisible to the world. A helpful tool is habit tracking. By keeping a record of your actions, whether it's exercising, writing, meditating, or studying, you create a visual proof of progress. Seeing a streak of consistency is motivating. It reminds you that your effort matters and encourages you to continue. Tracking transforms abstract effort into concrete progress. Another important concept is setting realistic expectations. Many people give up because they expect instant results. Losing weight, learning a skill, or changing behavior takes time. Patience and consistent effort are essential. Focus on small wins. Each day you stick to a habit, you reinforce the behavior and move closer to your goal. Over time, These small wins create confidence and momentum. Comparison isn't always harmful if used correctly. It can provide inspiration and guidance. Observing how others succeed can teach strategies, techniques, and systems. But the key is to use it for learning, not judgment. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? Instead of, why am I not as good as them? This mindset turns comparison into a tool rather than a trap. Progress is also about reflection. Take time to review what's working and what's not. Look at your habits, routines, and systems. Adjust when necessary. Reflection helps you learn from mistakes and reinforce successful behaviors. It also strengthens commitment by reminding you of the purpose behind your actions. An important psychological insight is that the brain responds more to improvement than perfection. Humans are wired to notice differences and progress. When you see yourself doing better than yesterday, even slightly, it creates a positive feedback loop. Each small improvement motivates the next one. Perfection, on the other hand, creates pressure and fear of failure. Focus on growth, not flawlessness. Another strategy is breaking long-term goals into short-term benchmarks. Instead of thinking, I need to write a book, focus on daily or weekly goals. Write 1 page today, 1 chapter this week. Each benchmark provides immediate feedback and a sense of achievement. Progress feels tangible, and you avoid the overwhelm that comparison often brings. It's also important to celebrate your own milestones. Recognize your effort, dedication, and persistence. Celebrate consistency more than results. For example, completing a workout or writing a paragraph may seem small, but it reinforces your identity as someone who takes action. Recognition strengthens habits because it connects effort with positive emotion. Finally, remember that progress is cumulative. Tiny improvements build momentum. 1% better each day may seem minor, but over a year, it multiplies into significant change. Comparing yourself to others obscures this process. Trust the compounding effect of your habits. Over time, the results will speak for themselves. Don't measure yourself against others. Measure yourself against who you were yesterday. Every small step forward is proof that you are growing. Comparison is natural, but progress is personal. By focusing on your own journey, tracking your actions, reflecting on your habits, and celebrating small wins, you cultivate consistent growth. The path of improvement is yours to walk, steady, patient, and deliberate. The results will come as long as you keep moving forward. Chapter 11: Flexibility and Discipline. Many people believe discipline is about rigidity, sticking to rules no matter what. Others think flexibility is the same as being lazy or inconsistent. The truth is, lasting habits require both discipline and flexibility. They are not opposites. They work together to create balance and resilience in habit building. Discipline is the structure that keeps you consistent. It's the ability to take action even when motivation is low, when emotions are negative, or when life gets messy. Discipline is showing up when it's hard. It is the commitment to your habits, day after day, regardless of circumstances. Without discipline, small habits fade quickly. Flexibility, on the other hand, allows you to adapt to life's changes. Life is unpredictable, schedules shift, stress appears, and emergencies happen. Flexibility ensures that a minor disruption doesn't destroy your progress. It's the ability to adjust your approach while staying committed to your overall goal. Flexibility prevents perfectionism from becoming a trap. Imagine discipline as a strong river current and flexibility as the riverbanks. The current moves you forward, but the banks guide the flow, allowing you to navigate obstacles without losing momentum. Together, they create a system that is both strong and adaptable. One way to develop this balance is through rules with room for adjustment. Instead of saying, I must exercise for 1 hour every day, try, I will do at least 20 minutes of movement every day. The rule is clear, but flexible enough to accommodate busy days, travel, or illness. Discipline ensures you do something. Flexibility ensures you don't quit entirely when conditions change. Flexibility also protects you from all-or-nothing thinking, which is a common enemy of habit formation. Many people fail because they believe that missing 1 day means total failure. Discipline allows you to continue your habit most days. Flexibility allows you to forgive yourself for rare lapses. Together, they create a system that is sustainable for the long term. Another aspect is self-awareness. Understanding when to push and when to adapt is crucial. Discipline without self-awareness can lead to burnout. Flexibility without self-awareness can lead to procrastination. Paying attention to your energy, emotions, and context allows you to apply discipline intelligently while using flexibility to adjust rather than abandon. It's also helpful to think in terms of principles rather than rigid rules. Principles are guidelines that help you make decisions aligned with your goals. For example, a principle might be, I prioritize health in my daily choices. On some days, that might mean running for an hour. On other days, stretching for 10 minutes or going for a walk. The principle remains constant, even as the actions change. This combination of discipline and flexibility allows you to stay consistent without being harsh on yourself. Discipline also builds momentum. When you consistently take action, even small steps, you create a sense of progress and self-trust. The brain starts to recognize that following habits is normal, not optional. Flexibility ensures that temporary setbacks don't stop the flow. Missed a workout? Adjust tomorrow instead of giving up entirely. Skipped a writing session? Pick it up later in the day. Discipline keeps you moving. Flexibility prevents discouragement. Another psychological factor is stress management. Life's challenges often make us abandon habits. Discipline alone may lead to guilt or frustration, while flexibility alone may lead to inconsistency. Together, they create resilience. Discipline ensures action. Flexibility provides room to handle stress. The habit becomes a tool for stability rather than a source of pressure. Flexibility and discipline also affect long-term motivation. Rigid rules can feel oppressive, reducing enjoyment and increasing resistance. Flexible rules allow you to experiment, adapt, and learn, keeping habits interesting. Discipline ensures that experimentation doesn't become procrastination. This balance fosters a sustainable routine that doesn't rely on constant willpower or excitement. Practical ways to develop this balance. 1. Set minimum standards, a baseline that ensures consistency. 2. Allow alternative actions. If the original plan isn't possible, do a smaller or modified version. 3. Reflect regularly. Adjust rules, routines, and goals as needed. 4. Focus on principles. Let them guide decisions instead of strict rules. 5. Accept imperfection. Progress is more important than perfection. Discipline moves you forward. Flexibility keeps you on the path. Together, they create habits that last a lifetime. Ultimately, discipline without flexibility can feel like a punishment. Flexibility without discipline can feel like chaos. The combination allows you to navigate life, stay consistent, and maintain habits through good days and bad. By practicing both, you build habits that are strong, resilient, and capable of sustaining long-term growth. Patience, commitment, discipline, and flexibility are all pieces of the same puzzle. They work together to help you maintain habits, weather setbacks, and achieve lasting transformation. Habits are not about short bursts of effort or heroic willpower. They are about consistent action guided by wisdom, adaptability, and self-understanding. Chapter 12. Repetition and Results. Habits are built not through dramatic moments of inspiration, but through small, repeated actions over time. Repetition is the engine that turns effort into skill, intention into behavior, and action into results. Without repetition, even the best intentions fade. Think of repetition like hammering a nail. One strike may barely make a dent, 2 or 3 may bend the nail, but consistent, repeated strikes eventually drive it deep into the wood. Habits work the same way. Each small action is a strike, gradually embedding the behavior into your life. The first principle of repetition is consistency over intensity. Doing a habit imperfectly but consistently is far more effective than doing it perfectly but irregularly. For example, writing 1 paragraph every day is better than writing 10 pages in 1 day and stopping for a week. Your brain learns through repeated practice, and repetition creates automaticity, the point at which the habit requires little thought or effort. Automaticity is the ultimate reward of repetition. When a habit becomes automatic, it no longer relies on willpower, motivation, or decision-making. Your brain recognizes the cue and responds with the learned behavior effortlessly. That's why small, repeated actions are more sustainable than occasional bursts of effort. Another key point is incremental improvement. Every repetition offers a chance to get slightly better. Small refinements compound over time. A tiny improvement each day may seem insignificant, but over months and years, it produces extraordinary results. This is the principle of compound growth applied to behavior. A 1% improvement every day leads to massive transformation in the long term. Repetition also reinforces identity. Each time you repeat a habit, you are voting for the kind of person you want to be. If you run consistently, you are reinforcing your identity as a runner. If you study every day, you reinforce your identity as a learner. Over time, these repeated actions become part of who you are, making the habit more natural and durable. One important psychological factor is the brain's reward system. Repetition strengthens neural pathways. Each successful repetition releases a small amount of dopamine, the brain's signal for reward and learning. Over time, your brain associates the behavior with positive feelings, further increasing the likelihood of continuation. This is why tracking habits and celebrating small wins is so effective. It creates immediate feedback that fuels repetition. Resistance to repetition is natural. At first, habits often feel awkward, uncomfortable, or boring. Your brain resists new behaviors because they are unfamiliar. This is normal. Consistent repetition overcomes this resistance. Each repetition rewires your brain, making the habit easier and more natural over time. Patience is critical. Growth is often invisible until the neural pathways are well established. Another important strategy is habit stacking. Linking a new habit to an existing, repeated behavior increases the likelihood of successful repetition. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will floss. After I make coffee, I will write one paragraph. By attaching a new habit to an established cue, repetition becomes easier and more reliable. It's also essential to track progress and reflect. Repetition without reflection can become mechanical and less effective. By noticing what works and adjusting where needed, you make each repetition more intentional. Reflection also reinforces learning, strengthens commitment, and ensures that repeated actions align with your long-term goals. A common mistake is expecting immediate results. Repetition is powerful, but results lag behind actions. A single workout, one paragraph written, or one day of healthy eating doesn't produce visible change immediately. The benefits of repeated actions accumulate over time. This is why patience is essential. Trust the process and continue even when the outcome isn't obvious. Another tip is to make repetition enjoyable whenever possible. Habits are easier to sustain when they are pleasurable. Pair the behavior with a positive experience. Listen to music while exercising, enjoy a cup of tea while reading, or celebrate small achievements. Enjoyable repetition strengthens both the habit and your motivation to continue. Finally, remember that repetition compounds. Small, repeated actions may seem insignificant at first, but they grow into remarkable results. The key is to start small, stay consistent, and allow the process to unfold. Each repetition is an investment in your future self, creating habits that shape your life over time. Mastery is the result of repetition. Small actions, done consistently, become the building blocks of extraordinary change. Repetition transforms effort into routine, intention into behavior, and practice into results. It is the quiet force behind lasting habits, reinforcing identity, improving skill, and ultimately creating the life you want. By embracing repetition with patience, reflection, and consistency, you make change inevitable. Chapter 13: Self-Leadership. Habits are the building blocks of self-leadership. To lead others, you first need to lead yourself. Self-leadership is the ability to take control of your actions, decisions, and habits to achieve your goals. It's about becoming the person who consistently does what needs to be done, even when it's difficult, uncomfortable, or inconvenient. At its core, self-leadership begins with self-awareness. You need to understand your strengths, weaknesses, triggers, and patterns. What motivates you? What tempts you to stray from your goals? By observing your behavior without judgment, you gain insight into how your habits shape your life. Awareness is the first step toward conscious control. The next step is self-discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It's the commitment to act in alignment with your goals, even when motivation is low. Self-leadership means showing up consistently, keeping promises to yourself, and following through on plans. Discipline ensures that your intentions translate into action. Self-leaders also excel at goal clarity. They define what they want clearly, break it into actionable steps, and focus on the process rather than just the outcome. Clear goals give direction to habits. Without clarity, energy disperses, and effort becomes inconsistent. Self-leadership aligns habits with purpose, turning everyday actions into progress toward meaningful objectives. Another critical element is decision-making. Every day, you face countless choices, many of which affect your habits. Self-leadership involves making deliberate, thoughtful decisions rather than reacting impulsively. It's about creating systems that reduce unnecessary choices and guide you toward consistent action. For example, preparing healthy meals in advance removes the daily temptation of unhealthy eating. Small decisions, repeated consistently, define the trajectory of your life. Proactivity is also essential. Self-leaders don't wait for circumstances to force action. They anticipate challenges, plan ahead, and act before they are forced by necessity. Proactive behavior strengthens habits by embedding them into routines and systems that support success. Waiting for motivation or inspiration leaves progress to chance. Leading yourself ensures steady advancement. Emotional regulation plays a key role in self-leadership. Life will throw obstacles, stress, and frustration. The ability to manage emotions, stay calm, and respond rationally rather than reactively allows you to maintain habits even under pressure. Self-leadership is not just doing the right thing when it's easy, it's doing it when it's hardest. Self-leadership also depends on personal accountability. Holding yourself responsible for your actions without blaming external circumstances creates empowerment. When you acknowledge mistakes and learn from them, rather than making excuses, you strengthen your ability to influence outcomes. Accountability reinforces habits because you see a direct connection between your actions and results. Prioritization is another pillar. Self-leaders recognize that energy and time are limited. They identify high-impact habits and focus on them first. By distinguishing between what is important and what is merely urgent, they avoid wasting effort on distractions. This strategic approach ensures that habits contribute meaningfully to long-term goals. Self-leadership also involves adaptability. Circumstances change, and rigid routines may fail. A true self-leader adjusts habits, strategies, and systems while maintaining focus on overarching goals. Flexibility ensures that progress continues despite unexpected obstacles, while discipline keeps momentum intact. A key habit of self-leaders is reflection. Regularly reviewing your actions, habits, and outcomes allows you to learn, adjust, and improve. Reflection transforms repetition into growth, mistakes into lessons, and small actions into intentional progress. Without reflection, habits become mechanical. With reflection, they become purposeful. Self-leadership is strengthened by vision. Knowing why you do what you do fuels consistency. A clear sense of purpose motivates action, aligns habits, and strengthens resilience. When habits are connected to a larger vision, even difficult actions become meaningful and fulfilling. Finally, self-leadership is about empowering yourself through small wins. Each habit you complete, each promise you keep to yourself, builds confidence and reinforces the identity of a capable, disciplined, proactive person. Over time, these small victories accumulate into the ability to lead yourself in any circumstance. To lead others, you must first master yourself. Habits are your tools, discipline, awareness, and purpose are your guide. In summary, self-leadership is the foundation of success. It combines awareness, discipline, clarity, decision-making, emotional regulation, accountability, prioritization, adaptability, reflection, and vision. By cultivating these qualities through habits, you become the person capable of achieving meaningful goals and creating a life of purpose. Chapter 14. Balancing Ambition and Rest. Ambition drives growth. It pushes you to dream bigger, to improve, and to challenge yourself. But without rest, ambition can become a heavy burden, turning drive into exhaustion and progress into burnout. The real mastery of habits and success lies not in constant action, but in balancing ambition with rest. Ambition gives life energy and direction. It is the spark that makes you want to build something greater, to evolve beyond your current self. It fuels your habits, giving them meaning and urgency. But when ambition goes unchecked, it becomes pressure. You start to measure your worth by productivity alone, forgetting that rest and reflection are part of growth. Rest is not laziness. It is the foundation that supports performance. Just as muscles need recovery after exercise, the mind and spirit need time to recharge after effort. Without recovery, even the strongest motivation fades. Your habits become mechanical, your energy drains, and joy disappears. Rest is what keeps ambition sustainable. A balanced life is not about doing less, it's about doing wisely. It's understanding that the goal is not endless effort, but effective effort. Working hard has value, but only when paired with restoration. The most successful people are not those who never stop, but those who know when to stop and how to start again stronger. One powerful principle is the idea of rhythmic balance, periods of focused work followed by intentional rest. Think of the heart, it contracts and expands. Both actions are essential. The same applies to life. Intense work creates growth. Rest allows that growth to integrate. Without rhythm, you face burnout. With rhythm, you create sustainable momentum. Ambition also needs clarity. Not every goal deserves your full energy. Sometimes, ambition becomes chaotic, chasing too many things at once, leading to frustration and scattered focus. Clarify what truly matters. Direct your ambition toward habits that serve your deepest values. When your goals align with your purpose, the balance between effort and rest becomes natural. Rest can take many forms. It can be physical, sleeping, walking, stretching. It can be mental, disconnecting from screens, meditating, or spending time in silence. It can be emotional, being with loved ones, laughing, or expressing creativity. And it can be spiritual, reconnecting with nature, gratitude, or reflection. Each kind of rest restores a different part of you, keeping your ambition alive rather than draining it. Another key is forgiveness. Ambitious people often push themselves too hard, criticizing every imperfection, but self-criticism destroys motivation. Forgiveness allows you to rest without guilt. It reminds you that progress is not a straight line, that rest is part of the process, not a pause from it. When you rest, your subconscious continues working. Problems resolve themselves in silence, and creativity often appears during stillness. Many great ideas come not from long hours of effort, but from quiet moments of rest and reflection. Balance, therefore, is not the enemy of progress, it is the secret behind it. A helpful practice is scheduled rest. Just as you plan your goals, plan your recovery. Block time for rest, reflection, and activities that bring joy. Treat rest as a responsibility, not a reward. By doing so, you protect your energy and maintain long-term consistency. Ambition also benefits from self-compassion. You are human, not a machine. There will be days of fatigue, distraction, or discouragement. Self-compassion allows you to accept those days without losing momentum. It turns discipline from harsh control into gentle guidance. When you treat yourself kindly, rest becomes healing, and ambition becomes meaningful again. Ambition moves you forward, rest keeps you whole. Together, they create balance, the space where greatness grows naturally. Balance also means knowing when to slow down. Growth sometimes requires silence, patience, and stillness. Flowers don't bloom by pulling on their petals, they grow through time, sunlight, and nourishment. Likewise, your habits and goals need patience and care. Rest gives them that. Many people fear rest because they associate it with weakness. In truth, rest is strength. It takes wisdom to pause when the world demands constant motion. Those who know how to rest intentionally are often the ones who go the farthest, because they understand that renewal fuels longevity. In the end, ambition and rest are partners. One provides direction, the other provides endurance. Without ambition, you remain stagnant. Without rest, you burn out. Together, they form the rhythm of progress, a cycle of striving and recovering that keeps you growing in a sustainable, joyful way. Do not chase success at the cost of your soul. True success is when ambition and peace walk hand in hand. By mastering this balance, you learn how to build habits that last for life. You learn when to push and when to breathe, when to work and when to step back. The goal is not endless productivity. The goal is a meaningful life sustained by energy, purpose, and peace. Chapter 15. Dealing with setbacks. No matter how strong your habits are, life will test you. There will be days when everything goes wrong, when plans collapse, motivation disappears, and progress seems to vanish overnight. These moments are called setbacks, and they are not signs of failure. They are part of the journey. Everyone experiences setbacks. Even the most disciplined people lose focus, fall into old habits, or face unexpected challenges. What separates those who grow from those who quit is how they respond to these moments. Growth doesn't come from avoiding mistakes, it comes from recovering from them. The first rule in dealing with setbacks is simple: don't panic. A setback is not the end, it's feedback. It shows you something, a weak spot in your system, a trigger you didn't notice, or a limit you've reached. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" This shift in perspective transforms frustration into learning. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of failure and start seeing yourself as a student of progress. Every setback becomes data, information you can use to improve your habits and systems. The second rule: avoid the all-or-nothing mindset. Many people think missing one day means total failure. I broke my streak, it's over. But this mindset destroys progress. Missing one day doesn't ruin a habit. Quitting because you missed one day does. The key is to bounce back quickly. If you fall, get up the next day and continue. Consistency isn't perfection, it's persistence. One useful principle is never miss twice. If you skip a workout today, make sure you do something tomorrow, even if it's small. If you break your diet for one meal, eat clean for the next one. One mistake won't stop your growth. A pattern of giving up will. Discipline means returning again and again, no matter how many times you fall. Setbacks also test your emotional control. When things go wrong, frustration, guilt, or shame can take over. But emotions are temporary, they are signals, not orders. You can feel disappointed without giving up. The goal is not to eliminate emotion, but to act wisely despite it. Take a breath, reset, and remind yourself why you started. Self-compassion is a powerful weapon against setbacks. Many people punish themselves for slipping up, but guilt rarely leads to improvement. Compassion does. Treat yourself like you would treat a close friend who made a mistake. Encourage, support, and remind yourself that growth is never perfect. Falling down doesn't erase your progress. It simply proves you're human and still in the game. Setbacks also reveal the importance of systems. If you constantly fall at the same point, the problem isn't you, it's your system. Maybe your environment isn't supportive, your plan is unrealistic, or your motivation depends too much on willpower. Adjust your system. Make it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong one. For example, if you keep staying up late, remove distractions before bedtime. If you skip workouts because of time, shorten them but stay consistent. If you forget to meditate, link it to a daily cue like morning coffee. Don't rely on memory or motivation, rely on design. Another way to recover from setbacks is through reflection. After each stumble, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What went wrong? 2. Why did it happen? 3. What can I change next time? This turns failure into fuel. You learn faster, strengthen your strategy, and prevent the same mistake from repeating. Reflection transforms pain into wisdom. Setbacks also teach humility. They remind you that progress is not linear and that growth requires patience. When you fall, it's not a sign of weakness, it's an invitation to rebuild with more understanding. Each time you recover, you become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Sometimes setbacks come from forces beyond your control, illness, loss, or sudden change. In those moments, the kindest thing you can do is give yourself grace. Take the time you need to heal, adjust, and then return. Progress will wait for you. What matters is not speed, but direction. There's also a hidden beauty in setbacks. They build trust in yourself. Every time you recover, you prove that you can rely on your own strength. Confidence doesn't come from never falling, it comes from knowing you can always rise. Resilience is not about never breaking, it's about learning how to bend and stand tall again. To deal with setbacks effectively, forgive yourself quickly. Learn from what happened. Adjust your environment or system. Return to action as soon as possible. Celebrate recovery as much as progress. The most powerful people are not those who never fail, but those who never stop trying. Each comeback builds character. Each lesson prepares you for bigger challenges. Setbacks are not roadblocks, they are checkpoints. They ask you, do you really want this? And when you answer yes, you come back stronger, more determined, and more prepared than before. So when you fall, remember, falling is not the opposite of progress, it is part of it. Every setback carries the seed of growth, waiting for your patience and persistence to make it bloom. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. That is the rhythm of progress, the music of growth. Chapter 16. The role of habits in long-term success. Success is not built in a single day. It is the quiet result of small, consistent actions repeated over weeks, months, and years. While talent, luck, and opportunity can influence success, habits are what sustain it. They are the foundation on which long-term achievement is built. When people imagine success, they often picture big moments, winning an award, achieving a dream, or reaching a major milestone. But the truth is that big moments are born from small daily choices. Waking up early, staying focused, showing up when you don't feel like it, reading a few pages, writing a few lines, exercising a little each day, these small habits slowly shape the future. Habits are powerful because they compound. Just like interest on money, small actions grow over time. One positive habit may not seem like much at first, but after months or years, it can completely change the direction of your life. A single daily habit can be the difference between growth and stagnation. Discipline beats intensity in the long run. Many people start with a burst of energy, working hard for a few days or weeks, but they eventually burn out. Those who rely on habits, however, build slow, steady progress that lasts. Long-term success doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from doing something every day. Another important point, habits create stability in an unstable world. Motivation rises and falls, emotions change, and life brings chaos. But habits are anchors. They keep you moving forward even when everything else around you is uncertain. A person who relies on habits doesn't need perfect conditions to make progress, they just follow their system. Habits also free mental energy. When actions become automatic, you no longer have to waste time making decisions. This allows your mind to focus on bigger, more meaningful challenges. For example, if you've built the habit of exercising every morning, you no longer have to decide whether to work out, you simply do it. This simplicity gives you more energy for other important goals. A major part of long-term success is identity. Every time you practice a habit, you're shaping who you are. Writing every day turns you into a writer. Learning a little each day makes you a lifelong learner. Saving a small amount of money regularly makes you financially secure. Success is not something you chase, it's something you become through habits. Habits are also more reliable than motivation. Motivation is emotional, it comes and goes. Habits are structural, they remain steady. When your habits are strong, you can keep moving even when motivation is gone. This is why successful people rely on systems rather than feelings. Another key factor is resilience. Long-term success requires endurance. It's not about avoiding problems, but being strong enough to keep going through them. Habits build this strength because they give your life structure and rhythm. When life hits hard, your habits become your safety net, the routine that holds you up when everything else shakes. Habits also protect your focus. Long-term goals often take years to achieve, and distractions are everywhere. Without habits, it's easy to lose direction, but with strong daily routines, your actions stay aligned with your vision. Habits are like invisible rails guiding a train toward its destination. Another reason habits are central to success is momentum. Starting is the hardest part, but once habits are in motion, they create their own energy. Each small success makes the next one easier. Over time, momentum becomes a powerful force that pushes you forward, even on days when you feel tired or uncertain. Success is rarely about doing extraordinary things once. It's about doing ordinary things consistently. Habits also influence how you respond to failure. When your progress is based on small daily actions, a setback doesn't destroy everything. Missing one day won't end your journey because the structure is already in place. This is why habits are stronger than motivation. They survive storms. Long-term success is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Showing up on ordinary days builds extraordinary results. Your future is built not in moments of greatness, but in the quiet repetition of simple habits. Here are a few truths about habits and long-term success. Habits build discipline. Discipline builds consistency. Consistency builds results. Results build confidence. Confidence builds more growth. This is the chain of long-term achievement. Break the chain, and success slips away. Strengthen the chain, and success becomes inevitable. Also, habits inspire others. When people see you showing up every day, they feel inspired to do the same. Your discipline becomes a quiet example, more powerful than words. Long-term success is not just personal, it can also spread through the people around you. Finally, habits bring peace of mind. Chasing goals without structure can be exhausting, but when you have habits, your journey becomes calmer. You trust the process, knowing that each small step counts. You no longer live in constant pressure, you live in rhythm. Success is not a sudden explosion. It's a slow fire kept alive by daily habits. In the end, long-term success is not about luck, talent, or perfect timing. It's about the invisible daily work, the choices no one sees, the consistency that builds strength. If you master your habits, success is no longer a question of if, it's only a matter of when. Chapter 17: How to Keep Habits Alive. Building a habit is one thing, keeping it alive is another. Many people start strong, full of energy and motivation, but after a few weeks or months, the habit begins to fade. Life gets busy, distractions appear, and the excitement disappears. This is why learning how to keep habits alive is one of the most valuable skills for long-term success. Habits are like living things. They need care, attention, and renewal. If you neglect them, they weaken. If you nurture them, they grow stronger with time. The key is not to chase perfection, but to stay connected, to keep the habit breathing, even when life feels heavy. The first secret to keeping habits alive is making them part of your identity. When you say, "I'm trying to exercise," it sounds temporary. But when you say, "I'm the kind of person who takes care of my body," it becomes part of who you are. Identity keeps habits alive because it removes the question of whether or not to do them. It's simply what you do. The second secret is renewing motivation. Habits become automatic, which is good for consistency, but over time, they can also lose emotional meaning. That's when boredom appears. To keep habits alive, you must reconnect with why you started. Ask yourself, why does this habit matter to me? What am I gaining from it? Who am I becoming because of it? When you refresh the purpose behind the habit, you breathe life into it again. Another strategy is evolution. Habits should grow with you. What worked at the beginning may not fit your life later. Don't be afraid to adjust, expand, or refine your routines. For example, your morning meditation might start at 5 minutes, then grow to 10, then shift into journaling or gratitude. Change keeps habits alive because it keeps them interesting and relevant. Habits die in boredom, but thrive in evolution. Celebration also matters. Many people stop feeling joy in their progress. They move from one goal to another without pausing to appreciate how far they've come. Celebrate small wins. Even a simple, well done to yourself can renew motivation. Recognition turns routine into reward, and reward strengthens behavior. To keep habits alive, you must also protect them from life's chaos. Distractions, stress, and unexpected events will always appear. That's normal. The trick is to make your habits flexible, not fragile. For example, if you can't go to the gym, do 10 minutes at home. If you can't meditate for 10 minutes, do 2 minutes. If you can't read a chapter, read 1 paragraph. Flexibility keeps the chain unbroken. Even small actions send a message to your brain. This habit still matters. Tracking is another powerful tool. A simple calendar, app, or notebook can help you see your consistency. Watching the streak grow is satisfying. It gives proof of progress. But remember, the goal is not a perfect record. It's a consistent effort. If you miss a day, restart quickly and keep going. The beauty of tracking is that it reminds you how much effort you've already invested. That alone can reignite your motivation. Community can also keep habits alive. When you share your goals with supportive people, you build accountability and inspiration. A workout buddy, a writing group, or even an online community can remind you that you're not alone. Humans thrive in connection, and shared progress often multiplies energy. Keeping habits alive also means avoiding burnout. When a habit becomes too rigid, it starts feeling like a burden. Add moments of rest, variety, or joy to your routine. If your habit feels stale, change the environment or method. Run outdoors instead of on a treadmill. Read in a new place. Try a different style of journaling. Small changes can make old habits feel new again. Another useful mindset is restart, don't regret. If your habit fades for a while, don't drown in guilt. Just restart. The faster you return, the easier it becomes. Every restart makes your habit stronger, not weaker, because it proves your commitment. Perfection isn't the goal, persistence is. The best habit is not the one that never breaks, but the one that always returns. Finally, remember that keeping habits alive is not just about discipline, it's about love. Love for your growth, love for your health, love for your peace. When you connect your habits to something you deeply care about, they stop feeling like chores and start feeling like acts of self-respect. Each habit you keep alive is a promise kept to yourself. It says, I am someone who follows through, I am someone who grows, even slowly. Over time, this belief becomes unshakable, a quiet confidence that shapes every part of your life. So feed your habits with patience, reflection, and care. Adjust them when needed. Celebrate progress, rest when you must, and always, always return. Habits are like fires. If you feed them with care, they'll keep you warm for a lifetime. Chapter 18. How habits influence others. We often think of habits as something personal, something that belongs only to us. But in truth, your habits reach farther than you can see. Every action you repeat, every choice you make, every routine you follow sends ripples into the lives of others. Whether you realize it or not, your habits have the power to inspire, shape, and influence the people around you. Human beings are social creatures. We learn by watching. We copy behaviors, absorb emotions, and mirror the energy of those we spend time with. This means that your habits, both good and bad, create invisible patterns that others pick up on. A single disciplined person can raise the standard of an entire group, just as one negative pattern can lower it. Think about it. When someone close to you eats healthy, exercises regularly, or stays calm under pressure, you start to feel the pull to do the same. Their consistency becomes proof that change is possible. This is how habits spread, not through lectures or rules, but through example. The most powerful form of leadership is quiet influence. You don't need to preach or convince others. You simply live your values. When you show up with integrity, discipline, and kindness, others notice, even if they never say it. Your actions speak louder than any advice could. People may doubt your words, but they will believe your habits. One person's good habits can transform an entire family, workplace, or community. Imagine a parent who builds the habit of patience. Over time, the home becomes calmer. The children learn emotional control by example. Or think of a teacher who consistently shows enthusiasm. students catch that energy. A team leader who takes responsibility instead of blaming others inspires accountability in everyone else. Your habits don't just affect others emotionally, they affect them practically too. A person who is organized makes life easier for their coworkers. A partner who communicates clearly reduces misunderstanding in a relationship. A friend who stays consistent with their fitness habit motivates others to join in. Habits create a shared atmosphere, they shape culture, not just character. But the influence works both ways. Just as your habits affect others, the habits of others affect you. This is why your environment, especially the people in it, matters so much. If you spend time with people who value growth, discipline, and kindness, you'll naturally rise to that level. If you're surrounded by negativity and laziness, your own motivation weakens. That's why one of the smartest things you can do is to be the kind of person whose habits lift others up. Be the one who chooses calm in chaos, focus in distraction, honesty in confusion. Not because you want recognition, but because small examples can change lives in ways you might never know. There's a quiet strength in being someone whose consistency brings peace and stability to others. Your morning routine might inspire a friend to start theirs. Your kindness might soften someone's day. Your commitment to self-improvement might give another person hope that change is possible. Influence doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just one person deciding to do better and others silently following. To use your habits as a positive force. 1. Be consistent, not perfect. People don't need to see you flawless, they need to see you real and persistent. 2. Stay humble. Influence grows through authenticity, not ego. 3. Share stories, not orders. When you talk about your habits, speak from experience, not authority. 4. Celebrate others. Encourage their progress and growth. 5. Protect your energy. Surround yourself with people whose habits lift you too. It's also important to remember that influence can take time. Sometimes, you won't see the effect of your habits right away, but seeds planted through consistency eventually grow. Someone watching you quietly may start their own journey months or years later because of the example you set today. You may never know who is watching, but someone always is. The power of influence also carries responsibility. If your habits are negative, complaining, procrastinating, reacting in anger, they can spread that same energy. This doesn't mean you need to be perfect, but it does mean being mindful. Ask yourself, what kind of energy am I adding to my world today? Because the world always reflects back what we give it. In relationships, shared habits build deeper bonds. Couples who grow habits together, cooking, exercising, reading, often feel more connected because they grow side by side. Families that share habits of gratitude or communication build stronger trust. Teams that develop habits of feedback, consistency, and celebration create lasting success. The magic of influence is that it multiplies. One person changes their habit, another follows, and soon the whole atmosphere shifts. A single spark of discipline can light a whole room. One small act of kindness can create a chain of good that spreads farther than you'll ever see. In the end, your habits are not just for you. They are your message to the world, a living example of what you believe in. Every day, you are teaching others how to live, not through words, but through behavior. Your habits are your legacy. Long after your words are forgotten, your example remains. So live intentionally. Build habits that not only shape your success, but also inspire others to rise with you. You never know who's watching, learning, or quietly following your lead. Let your actions be the proof that change is possible, and your consistency be the reminder that greatness is built, not born. Because when one person grows, others grow too, and that's how the world changes. One habit, one person, one quiet example at a time. Conclusion: the philosophy of continuous improvement. Every great transformation begins quietly, not with a grand announcement, but with a small choice, one new habit, one small step, one moment when you decide that you no longer want to stay the same. This is where the philosophy of continuous improvement begins, with the belief that growth is not a destination, but a lifelong rhythm. Progress is not built on perfection, It's built on consistency, on showing up again and again, even when it's difficult, even when no one is watching. Real success doesn't come from giant leaps, but from tiny steps repeated with purpose. That's the essence of continuous improvement, to become a little better every day in a way that feels natural and human. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to change your direction by 1 degree, 1 habit, 1 choice. A small improvement today can look invisible, but in a year, in 5 years, in 10, it can transform everything. That's the quiet power of small habits. They don't shout, they whisper, but those whispers, over time, shape your destiny. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Continuous improvement means focusing on systems, the daily structures that guide your behavior, rather than on outcomes you can't control. You can't always control success, but you can control your effort. You can control how often you practice, how you respond to failure, and how quickly you return when you fall. The beauty of this philosophy is its humility. It doesn't demand perfection. It welcomes mistakes, because mistakes are proof of movement. They mean you're learning, adjusting, growing. Every setback carries a lesson. Every failure contains information about what to try next. The person who never quits, who treats every stumble as data, not defeat, becomes unstoppable. Growth is a spiral, not a straight line. You'll loop back to old challenges, but each time with new strength, new wisdom, and new perspective. This is how progress really feels, sometimes slow, sometimes uneven, but always alive. To live by continuous improvement is to build a friendship with time. Instead of fighting against the pace of progress, you learn to trust it. You realize that small progress is still progress, that patience is a kind of power. Time will always multiply what you feed it. Feed it discipline, and it will reward you with mastery. Feed it kindness, and it will reward you with peace. This philosophy also changes how you see yourself. You stop chasing motivation and start nurturing identity. You stop saying, "I want to be successful," and start saying, "I am becoming the kind of person who succeeds." You stop waiting for inspiration and instead build habits that carry you forward even when you don't feel like it. The goal is not to be perfect tomorrow, but to be better than you were yesterday. Continuous improvement also teaches gratitude, because when you start noticing small wins, the quiet progress, the tiny victories, you begin to live with more appreciation. You see beauty in the process, not just the outcome. You realize that growth itself is a gift, that effort, not achievement, is what makes life meaningful. At its heart, this philosophy is about self-respect. It's about treating your potential as something worth nurturing. It's about showing yourself the same patience you would offer a friend. When you improve yourself, even a little, you improve your relationships, your work, your world. The change spreads outward, silently, naturally, powerfully. The path of continuous improvement never ends. There is always another layer of skill to master, another quality to refine, another habit to strengthen. But that's not a burden, it's freedom. It means that life will always have purpose. There will always be something to learn, something to build, something to become. Success is not about reaching the finish line, it's about learning to love the path. In the end, the philosophy of continuous improvement asks only one thing of you: keep going, even slowly, even imperfectly, keep showing up, keep adjusting, keep growing. Because every small effort matters, every repetition counts. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you are shaping a stronger, wiser, more peaceful version of yourself. You are the sum of your habits, but more than that, you are the author of them. You have the power to design your days, to shape your systems, and to decide who you are becoming. The journey never truly ends, because there is always another step, another sunrise, another chance to begin again. So take a breath, look at how far you've come, then take one more small step forward. That is the secret, that is the power. That is the art of continuous improvement. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. That's the end of today's episode and book summary. See you in a new episode with a new book. I hope you enjoyed the book. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all our new content. See you later.